Welcome to Wanderings and Wool Gathering, episode 125. On tonight's episode, we are going to review Pink Floyd's Animals, the 2018 remix. That's right, 2018 remix released in 2022. That's how this band does it. We are going to talk about some super cool song lyrics, and we're going to jump into I guess briefly at the end, a little She-Hulk conversation, but we're also going to hit Ozzy Osbourne, and it's going to be a great show. And I'm beside myself because one of the crew is back. And first of all, we're going to bring back Metalhead Mundy so we can bring back the bags. Here we go.
Step inside into his mind. It's boy band time. It's
Metalhead Mundy.
There he is, everybody.
Hey, in horrifying high definition.
Look at that. He's got a new camera. He's looking all good over there.
Sorry,
We're going
guys.
to tune in now. No, I think the viewership just went up because Metalhead is now in high def.
Well, let's hope so.
Well, I think tonight's really a big deal because the man is back. Teabags himself is back in the house. So let's bring him out. Teabag.
Swinging deep into the valleys of Liptonia.
That's nasty.
Able to plunge from high altitudes only to land with a gentle splat.
That's nasty.
Receiving only the finest education from his instructor, Earl Grey. It's Teabags. Too hot for TV.
Is it okay to laugh at your own intro?
Yes. Yes, it is.
I haven't heard it for a while either, but good to see you guys.
What's up, man?
Not much.
Glad to have you back. Oh,
I would think less of you if you didn't laugh at that.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. My only request
Yeah,
to the intro is the nasty on the teabag label. Maybe we can change it to TEA at the end,
oh.
and we can brand
Well,
it. So
Well, sir, when you're making your own videos, you just do that then.
sounds good.
I'm putting you in charge of the Joe Rife intro when we ever get Joe back on the show.
Okay, sounds good.
So, all right. Well, we got a Facebook user says, happy late birthday to Metalhead.
I have a decent idea who that might be, so thank you. I appreciate
Me too.
it.
She's going to speak up later, too, because I have something for her. So, anywho. We also got a laughy face for the Teabags theme song. Love it. So
Awesome.
Before we get started tonight, I guess I should say that tonight's episode is brought to you by 4411 Creative Agency. The good folks at 4411 provide custom marketing and flawless execution. Creative is their middle name. Head over to 4411creative.com to find out more. So happy to have that sponsor on board. Gentlemen, are you ready?
Yes.
Absolutely.
This is last week I failed miserably in the Lester Bangs inspired challenge. Mundy fooled me again. He went 4 for 4. So tonight we're going to do an album review. Just a simple one. Last week I did 4 and he had to pick them all out. And he did. He nailed them.
Last week was the Smashing Pumpkins one. The week before was the...
Oh, was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
I was looking at my handwritten notes here and I had your answers down. So
Yeah.
it threw me off.
Last week was Smashing Pumpkins, which I only got really because you gave me a couple of good hints. So
He still got it. He cheats, I swear. I think you can see my computer. Can you see it over here? Can you see it in my glasses?
no, but you can read my notes now, probably.
Nice. All right. Well, are you guys ready? This is exciting. I do have to pull out a few words that will tip it off. But here we go. This review is old. I'm not going to say how old because it'll give it away. Are you ready?
Yep.
Yes.
It's no use. Like all of this band's records, this one absorbs like a sponge, but you can still hear the gooey screams of listeners who put up a fight. What's the problem? For starters, this instrument that warmed up a previous record had been replaced by a succession of guitar solos. Thin, brittle, and sorry substitutes indeed. The singing is more wooden than ever. The sound is more complex, but it lacks real depth. There's nothing to match the incredible intro on the previous record. Oh, let's see. I need to skip that part because that would definitely give it away. Somehow you get the impression that this band is being metamorphosed into a noodle factory. What you got, y'all?
Huh.
I will have a clue if you can't figure it out.
A noodle factory. So that tells me, I mean, I don't know what they were doing before, but they obviously shifted into being more guitar based with more solos. That's the noodle factory part. And it's old.
Yeah, and they have according to this review, they have a catalog prior. So
Yep.
Huh. Well, I don't know. When you first started talking about instruments being replaced, and it's old and whatever, my first thought was Jethro Tull. But I don't think that's it.
No, that is not it.
The more you talk, the more you talk me out of that. But,
I'm stumped.
You just want to take a stab, Tony, before I give you the line that will give it away?
Not really. I mean, it throws me off that it's somebody that worked their way into guitar solos. I can think of a ton of bands that have them, but
yeah.
Well, I think this particular record is heavy with guitar solos.
Okay.
So here's the line that will give it away. Both of you. It'll be a race to see who jumps in first. Okay. The sound is more complex, but it lacks real depth. There's nothing to match the incredible intro to this record, which its hypnotic chorus of cash registers recalling the mechanical doom that was Fritz Lang's vision in Metropolis.
So, I mean, it's Pink Floyd, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't go deep enough on them to know which record is which and what. I'm assuming they're talking about maybe Sid being replaced.
Yeah.
No.
No.
I mean, more guitar solos with David Gilmour, of course.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I mean, they came from a really weird background when you go back to the beginning.
That's what I'm saying. Like they were pretty trippy to begin with, right?
Yeah. Poppy, then trippy, then found whatever sound they have now.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you think about a song like Pigs, that's really long, has lots of guitar solos.
Yes.
So it is referring to animals. So I did that on purpose because we're doing animals tonight.
That was great. Yeah.
And it's not a long record. I mean, only 5 songs, but you do have a 17-minute song, an 11 and 10, I think. So
11-minute song.
Yeah.
And that's what I love is 11 and 17-minute songs are right up my alley.
That's right. And it removed the saxophone that was so prominent prior to, and then replaced with the guitar solos. And for me, when we talk about the record in a little bit, the guitar solos is kind of a big thing in this remix, I think.
Yeah, I don't go deep enough on them to even know the saxophone thing, so I would never have gotten that.
Mark it down, everybody. We got Mundy.
Yeah. Well, Pink Floyd, that's a blind spot for me.
Next week I'm doing Radiohead. The second blind spot. Anyway, that was fun.
That was a good one.
All right. So, Mundy, I'm going to let you make the call. Do you want to talk about Ozzy or you want to talk about song lyrics?
We can do Ozzy because I think it'll be quick, and that's something that's carried over from last episode. You know, we reviewed his new album, Patient Number 9, last week, so we talked about that in depth, and then we kind of got off on a conversation about how he still sounds amazing in 2022 at the age of 72, I think. But I mean, he hasn't lost a step. So we were, and I think I said something about, I mean, you go back and listen to his old stuff and listen to his new stuff, and his voice sounds exactly the same. And there's not a lot of singers that are like that. So then you decided we should, test that theory. So that's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple one, actually. We're going to dig into the some of the lyrics as well. But as
Yes.
Mundy pointed out, he didn't write everything on every record, so that's kind of difficult as well. And I think thematically it stayed in tune with a lot of the old stuff. So if we're going on theme, I think it does pretty much match up. I think the only difference, or the thing we need to talk about, is probably his voice. So T-Bags, did you have a chance to listen to all of Patient Number 9 or enough to get a feel?
No, I listened to some of it, but I haven't been through it, so I don't want to just guess here.
Well, we covered that in depth last time, and we're really just mostly kind of talking about Ozzy in general. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing I would say is you could play an Ozzy track if I didn't know chronologically where things fell, and I would at least know it's Ozzy. That's so he hasn't changed that much, and I don't know that I could place it as being, oh, that sounds like something from 2 years ago versus 20.
Yeah.
So in my little experience, I would say he's for me as an untrained ear to Ozzy in some ways. I think he still stands out and has his own sound.
There's a few things that sort of give the age away. I am enough of an Ozzy fanatic that I pretty much know if I hear a song, like I know what album it's from, who's playing guitar, all that stuff. So roughly what year, not exactly maybe, but a couple of the.
Did we lose him?
We lost him.
It's a cliffhanger.
He just, what? Spit it out, Mundy.
What is it?
I'm going to get a text in a minute. Rebooting.
Yeah.
What
do you think? Go ahead with yours.
I was going to say, I'll hit that and then he can come back to it. So when we reviewed the record, we both felt like it was spot on Ozzy. Oh, you're back.
Yeah, I don't know. My computer just decided to randomly kick me off the internet. So
sweet.
Hopefully that doesn't happen again. But anyway, should I just continue?
Oh, get going.
Where else?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, he's stuck again. Oh, there he is.
No. So the big things is going all the way back to Blizzard of Oz. He doubled his vocals. So that was a trick, a production trick where they kind of, you sing the line and then you sing it again exactly the same, and they put those two tracks on top of each other. Mm-hmm. And it's just a way to kind of build up the vocals, make it sound a little stronger, a little, more full. Mm-hmm. And everybody did it. Everybody has done it, at some point. That kind of went away more over time as the production technology got better. You didn't need that as much. The microphones, the boards, everything worked together to kind of make that sound without having to double the vocals. Famous example of that is when Bob Rock got with Metallica to do the Black Album. That was the first album that they did where James didn't double his vocals. So, and they still sound amazing. So just a production stuff. Ozzy still uses that every once in a while, but it's mostly it's more for like a harmony situation, like harmonizing with himself, not necessarily doubling it for the full sound. So that's one of the huge differences for me. Like I can hear that. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys notice anything like that.
Are you talking about the fullness is what you feel like is lacking now compared to the past?
No, I don't think it's lacking at all. It's just the production has gotten better, so he doesn't have to do that now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So production and technology aside, like if you were to isolate his vocals, how would you think he would hold up?
Oh, he hasn't. I don't think he's lost a step at all. I mean, he still sounds amazing, even live. When we saw him, Steve and I both went to the same show, and I mean, he sounded incredible.
Yeah, he absolutely did. The one thing that I think is the biggest difference is range. He is nearly always at the high level, on this new record. And if you go back and listen, there's a lot more times where he's lower in register. It's like,
Yeah.
Even on the ballads, he has some deeper tones to his voice than now, which is all pretty much up here. But as far as like keeping up the flow of the song and the phrasing and all of that, it's still totally on point. Sounds like Ozzy. It's great.
Yeah.
Hasn't lost a step. I just wonder if the aging process has left it where he can't sing effectively in a lower register now.
There was, we mentioned one song. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head without digging through my notes. But there was one song on Patient Number 9 that I pointed out, like it really showed his range.
Mhm.
So I feel like he can probably still do that, but maybe he can't do it that much, or he just chooses not to. I don't know, for whatever reason. But I think it's still there, but I don't, maybe that wears him out or affects his voice quality more now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Could
Yeah,
be
I
a
mean,
number of things.
The only other thing I could touch on maybe is the fact that in the past, in his flow, he could maybe hold things out a little bit longer, where it's just slightly choppier now. I think you'd almost have to listen to him side by side to get that. And I did. I listened to a bunch of songs back and forth just to kind of get that. And there was a little bit of that, but it's really pretty negligible. It's not anything crazy. I think when we said he was pretty much spot on Ozzy, I think it was not far from the truth.
Yeah.
Another thing, at the YMCA, there's a thing called Rock City Boxing, and it's for Parkinson's, people fighting Parkinson's. And in that class, they have to do like shouting exercises and things like that because your voice is really affected. And doesn't Ozzy have Parkinson's? Wasn't that in the news?
He's fighting a lot of stuff right now. Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about how it does affect your voice.
That too. Yeah,
the musculature in your cheeks and everything.
Yeah, so if he's close to spot on in his 70s, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
When we saw him, what was it, 2 years ago?
Something like that.
He was running around stage. He was fantastic. And he just, last week or 2 weeks ago, he sang at that opening college football game. They showed all 9 seconds of it. But in that 9 seconds, he sounded fantastic live before they cut off and went to some Nimrods yammering about the game. So
I can't believe that hasn't shown up on YouTube, like the performance, or has it? I don't
know. I haven't dug in to find it. I was just shocked that you have somebody like that as your halftime show on a major game and you don't show the halftime show. That was weird. And it's Ozzy.
Yeah.
I guess if he was lip syncing and shaking his booty, he might have had, the full 10-minute time limit for him or something.
Right. Before we get out of this, we've touched on the lyrical content over the years, and I don't think he's, gone too crazy either way with that. I mean, he's always sung about stuff like war, especially nuclear war, kind of evil or dark people. I mean, you've got Aleister Crowley, Jimmy Swaggart, stuff like that. He sings a lot about himself being misunderstood by people and whatever, abuse of power. He sings about, his own family stuff. I mean, and he's always done that. So I think he's got, he doesn't really get too outside of his pocket lyrically, whether he's writing it or not.
Yeah, well, I think he found that niche. I mean, that group of people who follow him to the end of time, and he sits right there in it. I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, we went and loved it. I mean, I wish I could have seen him in the 80s, and I didn't. But I'm thrilled that now I can say, I saw Ozzy live. It was fantastic, and Zakk Wylde was just on another level. So that was so good. And he was right by me, like 5 feet, and I couldn't hear for 3 days. So it was tough at work not being able to hear.
Yeah.
I didn't know if my hearing was coming back. It was a very strange experience.
Earplugs.
What?
Yeah.
Huh? What?
You're at the age you need to at least take earplugs in your pocket and have them. Whether you use them or not, that's on you.
I should have had them at that one. I mean, seriously, we were like 10 feet from the speakers, and he was standing on stage next to us. It was painful how loud it was.
I would say that carrying earplugs for anything with as many dumb people as there are in the grocery shopping, anything. I just like, you know.
Well, if I'm by myself in the grocery store, I have these on and I'm listening to a podcast or something. So
Smart.
Smart
Yeah.
boy. But I love
Yeah.
the guy who has to have the conversation out loud while he's got the Bluetooth on.
oh yeah,
So everybody knows what big business deal he's
Yeah.
making. Mr. Important guy.
yelling at your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yesterday, there was somebody that was FaceTime shopping with their friend, and they show him this, and it's like,
I
on
had to do
speaker.
that. I had to do that the other day. I went to Dan's Donuts and I had to. Yeah, I was trying to tell my wife. She was like, "Just put it on the camera." I'm like,
Here we go.
"That guy."
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you got to be.
Scanning the
Yeah.
case. Oh, I
Yeah.
want one of those. Okay.
We've all been there.
Strange world. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, that's it. Ozzy still has it. You heard it here first. Stamp of approval. All right. Let's kick into some lyrics. I know anything to get Teabags back on the show, it would be lyrics. And
Yeah.
And
we
Pink
did it.
Floyd.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Like a
kind of
dream
a
show.
double up.
Yeah.
So, how many did you guys come up with?
I have 3 of my own, and I have one that I have a suggestion from my wife.
Okay, fun. Let's get the suggestion out of the way and let's make fun of her. All right, let's go.
I don't think you will. This is a pretty good one.
Okay.
So we were talking about it, and she immediately came to her head. So apparently, it's one that has touched her over the years. She chose "Message in a Bottle" from the Police.
Cool.
And the line, "Love can mend your life, but love can break your heart."
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I like that song.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
a good. She passes. Dang it! I wanted to make
I
fun of her.
know.
I know.
So cool
That's
for
a great
school.
one.
All right. So, Tony, how many do you have?
I had 5, and that was pared down from 400.
I know. I was all over the
Yeah.
place too, but
I
picked a
could
couple
have,
that-
I got 3 that came to my mind real quick, and I'm like, I'm just gonna stop because I
Yeah.
could just keep going.
Well, I don't know if it's the exact same challenge, but what I sent you, Steve, on the screenshot was like, when you get down to one line,
Mhm.
sometimes there's a great like set of lines that make up a part of a verse, but out of context, some of the ones that I thought I loved didn't sound so great out of context. So,
Can you give us an example of one where you thought the line was great, but out of context is weird?
well, there's one a Dermot Kennedy song where he says, "Let me know when that fool is cleaning his gun," and so leading up to it, it's great in the paragraph, but even Jen, who loves that song, said, "Yeah, that sounds kind of weak, out of place." So,
Yeah,
Hey, by the way, Dermot's out in November, so we will be doing that on the show.
we'll see you in November, Tony.
That's right, T-Bags. You're back.
Hopefully sooner. Most of my Sunday work is done now, so that's good.
Sweet.
All right. Well, Tony, you have 5. I don't know how many I had, the bunch, but do you want to go ahead and kick us off with one of yours?
Sure. While we're talking about Dermot Kennedy, in the song "Glory," he says, "I've learned that doves and ravens fly the same," and to me, that's like death and peace. So
You
Really
get all
love that
kinds
line.
of stuff from that. That's a good one. Yeah,
yeah,
you could interpret that several different ways.
yeah,
that-
which sometimes makes up a good line.
That is definitely a good song. So good call. That was one line, though, right?
Yeah,
So,
that might be the only
I don't
one
know.
line that I have.
I was going to say all of mine are not one line. They're not even close to one line.
Yeah.
So
Well, the other
All
thing
right.
is, where do you call it a line? I mean, if it has a comma, so. But go ahead. What do you have?
That's true, I guess. Mundy, go ahead.
2 of mine are pretty dark. But I mean, that's kind of where I was when I discovered these songs, and they've always stuck with me. So the first one I will go with, I think I'm going to go "So What" from Ministry.
Yes.
Some really great lyrics. I love that song. The live version of "So What" on Ministries was, in case you didn't feel like showing up, is one of the all-time great live performances that were ever recorded. So the line is, I'm going to try to, I sort of earn the explicit tag here, but no F-bombs. But sedatives supplied become laxatives. My eyes shit out lies.
Mm-hmm. So what?
That's nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that is. Oh, wow.
Was that the mind is a terrible thing to taste?
Yes.
Yeah. I love that song.
Mm-hmm.
Great choice.
That was a great record. Okay, I'll go. This is going to make my daughter very happy. So, and I think this is so fitting with Pink Floyd and what we're doing tonight. But as you know, my daughter is a Bob Dylan kid junkie. Like, she's obsessed over the top. But there is a song that I will agree with her is pure poetry. And even Dylan says that he could never write something like this again. It has 15 verses. They are all 5 or 6 lines that rhyme and a final line that does not. And if you read them, they're pretty mesmerizing. It is absolutely total poetry. But the part that I picked had to do a little bit with what Animals is about. And so this is more than one line, so it's the verse here, but he says, while one who sings with his tongue on fire gargles in the rat race choir, bent out of shape from society's pliers, cares not to come up any higher, but rather get you down in the hole that he's in. And it had me thinking that they both sing about these important topics and nothing ever changes. I mean, this is 1965. The other album is in 76? Mm-hmm. And since then, nothing has changed. People with their tongue on fire get all drowned out. And then society's pliers, they shape people into this mold that we don't break ever. And it's just insane that we all see it, we know it, and somehow we're all the sheep.
Mm-hmm.
We are.
Essentially.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And you guys, if you haven't read the lyrics to the song, you really should. It's an amazing song. But there are 15 verses like this that are pretty incredible. So, good stuff.
Sounds like homework.
It does until you start reading it, and you're like, oh my God, this would work. Remember we talked about a poem or a song that would work without the music?
Yes.
This is one.
There you
Absolutely would work without the music. So, all right. T-Bag.
Nice. Well, I was going to go with a different one. I'll come back to that. But since you said a song that worked as a poem, I submitted some answers to you that time. He called Bob Dylan astounding. Must be documented. Nice.
It is now.
Yes. But when I submitted that, I submitted one by Ani DeFranco called Gray. And I pulled out some lyrics from that one. She says, and I feel right at home in this stunning monochrome, alone in my way. And it's one of those songs that's just like, if you feel like no one's getting you, and you can't do anything but just retreat back inside yourself. It's one of those songs, and I really like the putting stunning monochrome together because so many times that's just considered dull. But it works when it matches your feelings,
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
That's a good one.
So you had that for the oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Mundy.
I have one more from my misspent youth here. You'll see a theme here of kind of where my head was at in the early to mid 90s. And it's kind of stuck with me, but I think we all grow and change over time, but this is all still in there. So it's Last from Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
And said, look through these blackened eyes, you'll see 10,000 lies. And it's just, I think that speaks a lot to people have a perception of not only you, but how people project onto you how they think you should feel, or what what they are presenting, how you see what they are presenting, and I think this speaks to that quite a bit. It's like look through my eyes and you'll see all the BS. So,
Yeah.
What BS are you talking about, Mundy?
we don't have time for all that.
I know. Well, yeah, we do.
We could start a sideshow or something here.
This Jeremy Mundy BS sideshow.
Metalheads rants or something.
Fantastic. Is anybody writing these down? We should be writing these down for the liner notes.
You could probably call that show just Mean Old Man or something like that.
Mean old what?
Mean
Get
Old
off,
Man.
Get off Metalhead's
There you go.
lawn.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll just sit here with my pitchfork.
Right. Okay. I couldn't do one of these without Neil Peart, right? That's just the way it goes. But I did try to come up with something out of the norm that a lot of people probably don't know unless they're Rush heads, and it's the song called Resist. And the entire song is they're all couplets of kind of things that are opposites, or they for instance, here are the lines that I chose, and I went more than one because I'm teabagging this one, which means I'm breaking the rules. That's right.
Okay.
So anyway, all paradoxical. It says, I can learn to close my eyes to anything but injustice. I can learn to get along with all the things I don't know. You can surrender without a prayer, but never really pray without surrender. I like the notion that while we won't sit back for injustice, we can understand things that we don't know or don't necessarily agree with. We can live with those things, and then we have to sort of surrender ourselves to accept and pray and love and all that.
That's good. What song was it from?
It's called Resist. Every couplet is paradox, so it's fun.
Nice.
Very
That's
cool.
good. Yeah.
All right, teabags.
Okay. So, song by Tool called Reflection. He says, as full and bright as I am, this light is not my own, and a million light reflections pass over me. And that's part of the big tattoo I have on my back. It's part of like the behind the scenes story of starting my business, and just understanding that you got to get your ego out of the way, because, as bright as you're shining, it's probably coming from another source. And then it takes other people to even see that. So it's just a big triangle, mixture of things. But as soon as you can learn that it's normally not coming from you, then the better off you are.
You mean
Very
like
cool.
humility?
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Being humble is always a good thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Doesn't always feel great, but
No.
yeah,
No.
especially if you are humbled by something outside of yourself.
Aren't we all?
Yes. Been there.
Tiny little specks. All right. Go ahead, Mundy.
Well, Tony, you coming back, I feel like you stole my thunder a little bit, because my last one, I had to go with something I loved enough that I also had a tattoo on myself.
Okay.
So it's hard to get in the camera, but this tattoo on my forearm. Let me get it close.
Here, hold on real fast, Mundy. Leave it there. Hold on.
There you go. So it says, if love is a labor, I'll slave till the end. So that is a lyric from the song Swing Life Away by Rise Against. And it's just a real Rise Against, they're kind of a punk band, kind of not, I don't know how to describe them, but most of their stuff is, pretty angsty and heavy guitars. Swing Life Away is, just acoustic guitars and, him singing away. And this line, the first time I heard it, I was like, what was that? And yeah, if love is a labor, I'll slave till the end. So for me, that went back to my kids, and that just made me think about them. So that's the tattoo. I have the lyric, and then I have my kids' birthdays on the arm of the tattoo there. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. I'd never heard that line, and it sounds powerful. Right
Highly
away.
recommend the song. The lyrics, all of the lyrics of that song are fantastic. But
What was
that
it called
one,
again?
Swing Life Away. Because he talks about like sitting on the porch and swinging life away.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It is a fantastic song.
Yeah.
We talked about it on the show one time, actually.
I'm sure I brought it up before because I
Didn't we
love
review
them.
it?
Yeah. No, that album's from like 2000.
I know, but I think I don't know. I know we've talked about it on the show before because it's a great song. I think we did the recent one, didn't we? The new one. I think we did a recent one, and we went back and we talked about that song as one of the ones that was a killer one for us. And then that's when you whipped out the tattoo, and I was like, now I get it. So,
Steve, maybe you can get somebody from the research department to look that up.
Yeah. Here, let me look at him real fast. Okay.
He's on
Got
it.
it.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
We're on it.
Yep.
We should give him a name so it sounds official. Hey, Barney, you want to look that up for us?
Barney.
Go to the archives, please.
Or you could just hire your daughter since she's usually with us. So
We'll see if she responds right now. Number one fan. We got to get her a shirt.
She'll make it. She'll make the shirt.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure you guys can make that happen.
Yeah.
She said, period.
Number one fan, period. Okay.
All right. Okay. I wasn't sure for my third one here if I was going to be in an angry mood or not, so I won't go with the Slipknot lyric, although it's what I feel like a lot and I have to put it on sometimes. So I will go with, I'll tell you what it is later. I had to go with
one. I'm just going to guess. People equal shit. That's the...
No, it's not. It's the anthem. It's surfacing.
I'm just saying that line, people equal shit.
Oh.
That's
a good line.
This verse was F it all, F this world, F everything that you stand for, don't belong, don't exist, don't give a shit, don't ever judge me. Because sometimes
I feel like that's a little nihilistic for your...
When people trash you and your people on Facebook all of the time and you cannot respond because of your position, it really gets frustrating.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
So anyway, what I went with instead was my favorite Pumpkin song of all time. And the lyric was, no more promise, no more sorrow, no longer will I follow. Can anybody hear me? I just want to be me.
Very cool.
I love that song.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. That was my last one.
All right.
Anybody else have more they want to share?
I've got a couple more. I don't know. Mundy, are you done?
Yeah, I'm good.
I have one more thing I can share, but go ahead. Go.
Okay. Well, obviously this one means a lot to me, but if you want to be with me, baby, there's a price to pay. I'm a genie in a bottle. You got to rub me the right way. No.
That's on the all-time list. I mean,
yes.
You know.
I mean, it works, but no, when we were talking about humility, and this is ironic because I have this one in here, song by Depeche Mode, he says, the worst kind of diseased mind is one filled with jealousy. And that hit me like at the peak of, I used to be super jealous, one of those guys, like, what are you looking at when I'm with my girlfriend? You know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that hit me like sophomore year of college, and I literally changed my mindset based on that song. And I remember like it was yesterday, but like just being able to let go of that was pretty awesome.
Okay, you said Depeche Mode. Did you say the song title?
I can't remember I don't think it's a Blue Dress.
I don't know. I love them, but I don't recognize that line immediately.
Yeah. Let me look it up. I can't remember. I think
they're one of my bucket list bands. I would love to see them. But they do the kind of shows that I don't really love because they do huge like stadium shows. And like, But if I want to see them before they give it up, that's what I'm gonna have to do, I guess.
Well, if you go, I'll go because I want to see them as well.
I would too. So Road trip. We're on the road.
But they don't,
guys. We're gonna film.
they also don't come close to us. It would be like
Yeah.
Kentucky, Chicago,
Yeah, but this
Ohio, somewhere.
3-hour drives. We can do that easy.
Yeah.
We've already done it. So
It's the song "It Doesn't Matter."
There you go.
Yes.
So you were speaking of jealousy.
Yes.
Okay, you ready for this?
Yes.
Here's a line for you. I almost chose this earlier and I did not. It says, "For them that must obey authority, that they do not respect in any degree, who despise their jobs, their destinies, speak jealously of them that are free."
Mm.
And then it goes on. It's so, yeah, that line's really good.
That's really good.
Yeah, because we all know that we work these jobs and make a living and we're doing just fine, but we all wish we were the person who could just live by doing what they love and not worry about anything.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I know. So anyway,
I told our buddy Sean that owns the comic shop that if I ever win the lottery, I'm gonna quit my job and just work for him. So
when I retire, that's my plan.
Yeah, and he's celebrating how many years now? I saw on
12.
Facebook. Well,
12
that's
years.
awesome.
Yep.
Yep. Congrats to him.
Okay, are we ready for animals?
Absolutely.
You know what's
Yeah.
really cool? Before we get started talking about this, as it came out recently, I noticed that people were posting pictures from London of the factory as it looks now,
Oh,
from
cool.
different views and angles and everything. So that was kind of cool. That, you know, that's quite old actually, but it's still there and still imposing.
yeah, those are some big smokestacks in that picture
They
for
are.
sure.
Yeah.
Now, when we saw Roger Waters a couple of years ago in Louisville, and they had the stage was at the far end, and the building jutted out across the entire arena, and then it had a blown up pig that was being flown around, and it said Trump all over it, and it was just around the whole arena, and it was I mean, that was so cool that it just started coming out, and it just took over the entire arena. It was really neat.
Yeah. That would be
I'm
awesome.
having a hard time picturing how the building worked, but that's cool.
It was above, it was on the floor. I mean, it just went across like where the basketball or the hockey rink was, you know, and it went across and it was sort of hovering there, but it was pretty imposing and tall. It was neat. I don't know if I
Cool.
took any pictures or not. If I do, I'll share them with you.
Okay, so this comment you just popped up here, it says, "We need to have Mundy at least acknowledge Dylan's lyrics in this song." I will say, for the record, and which I have said for many, many years, Bob Dylan is an amazing songwriter. He's a horrible singer. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
Them sounds like fighting words.
He's hard for me to listen to. Anybody that loves him, more power to him. I mean, I listen to people I love people like Tom Petty, Tom Waits.
Mm.
Like, you know, I like some weird voices. I can't get with Dylan. It's hard.
Leaves the second half off. All right. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. You really should listen to that song, though. I think you guys would dig that. Okay, Animals. 2018. It took 4 years for the two to finally agree on, I guess it was the credits and the content of the credits, and it took 4
What?
years for this to
Yeah.
finally come out because the two cannot get along.
Wow.
Yeah. Can I just say before we get into this? So
Sure.
Pink Floyd is my all-time favorite band.
Mhm.
This is my all-time favorite record of all time. Over Tool, over Nine Inch Nails. This is it for me. But how frustrating to it was a cool thing. Sorry, it was a cool thing to find them back in the day, and they had a back catalog that I could dig into.
Mhm.
And then they kind of just finished up with the final cut. But then to know the reason I would never see them again together is just like internal conflict. And
Egos.
you know how real it is when it takes you 4 years to get through the liner notes and agree on it. It's just like, I wonder what kind of music we might have had after that.
That's insane.
But-
I cannot even imagine. It's like I'm envisioning 4 years of lawyers, because they were involved. 4
Absolutely.
years of lawyers emailing this stuff back and forth, and then being like,
Yeah.
"No, damn it!" Like, oh my god!
Good God. Yeah.
Like, it's ready to come out tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
It's such a shame.
Everybody's
It's
fun.
like that succession of records in a row in such a short period of time, and then for it all just to fall apart is just,
Mm-hmm.
and so of course, the Wall came out afterwards and everything. But
Yeah.
so I had cool neighbors when in the '70s that moved into this house, and one of the guys became a doctor, but he was in college. He was at IU, and he had this friend that came around all the time, and that's where I got all of my prog rock stuff from, and Pink Floyd, because that's what they liked it, and they were cool guys, older, and I probably drove them crazy, and they probably couldn't stand me, but they were nice to me and shared their music
Mm-hmm.
with me, so that was cool.
That's
That's where I first encountered it.
Any music fan, I think, has a similar story to that. They have someone that was just a little bit older that you
Mhm.
thought was cool, that kind of
Mhm.
started to curate your taste a little bit and introduce. Oh, if you like this, check this out. Or, have you heard these guys? For me, that was
Yeah.
I vividly remember. I mean, I was little, probably like six-ish, seven-ish. I remember being in my uncle's room, his bedroom, who he was like 14, 15 years older than me, and flipping through his crate. He had a milk crate with records in it.
Mhm.
And I would flip through it, and I'm seeing like AC/DC, Def Leppard, Quiet Riot, Triumph, like stuff like that. So, I mean, everybody's got that guy, I think, or person.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I guess before we jump into this, Tony, what makes this your favorite over Dark Side of the Moon or The Wall or Wish You Were Here?
Yeah. I think it's, I mean, not that the Wall doesn't tell a story, but as far as like the planning, it's almost like a movie or a novel or anything that like they bookend it with Pigs on the Wing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a story if you follow close enough, and like you said earlier, and I've always thought this too, like it just continues to be relevant, unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
because the cycle never changes. But then it dives all the way into. I love the lyrics. I wish I could have pulled one out for this, but it was just they're just too many meshed together. And then there's sonically, Pink Floyd's always done, trying to be as perfect as they can by putting things in there. So, there's though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. That's in here.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds that are in here. So I think for the time, especially for 1976, for it to be still so relevant, still so clear. I'm not even sure why they did a remix. I don't know. It seems perfect to me. I can listen to it straight through, and I can't do that with even some of my favorite albums that I still have aren't always a all the way through type of thing these days. So anyway, I can go on, but that's the brief synopsis.
Well, I'm glad you were here to go on because I've never been a huge Pink Floyd fan. For whatever reason, they never grabbed me. And I don't know, like when I felt like maybe I might give them a shot, it's like the catalog's a little intimidating.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I've never really gotten into them. So they're just not my band.
Gotcha.
Well, they had me at concept record, so
yeah.
I mean, because that's no different to me than like 2112. And the cool thing is, 2112 was about the book Anthem. Kind of recreated that, and this is so similar to Animal Farm, and we still teach that in our English department at school. We did the entire time I was there. We still teach it. The animals are pretty much the same that they use. And you want to talk about things being the same. I mean, we're going back now to this book, and then we go here, and it's still the same today. It's just this repeating thing that just you can't get out of the cycle ever. And I think even worse, we dig down to support the dogs and the pigs. We go out of our way to make sure that they stay where they are because that's the way it should be, and it's crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's some sort of like weird structure that we feel like needs to continue, yet we want it to all crumble at the same time.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. But
go ahead.
The last thing I'll say about all of that is like I also feel like, according to several sources, I guess, like The Wall was like presented to the band by Roger Waters alongside of, I think, maybe Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking or something that he ended up doing solo. But it feels like Animals was a really deep collaborative effort, and there was a lot of balance between Roger Waters and David Gilmour, and then obviously the band supporting it. But so even as much as I like The Wall, from what I read, it was a little bit more one-sided as to how it was going to go. So I think this was a real big picture of how that band could work on that level.
Yeah. I mean, when you listen to it, you're right, Tony. I listened to it from beginning to end because you want to get that whole context and feel what you're supposed to feel between the songs, because they're very different. I think when you listen to Sheep, if you just listen to it on your own, it wouldn't be the same unless you'd listen to Dogs and Pigs first, because it's a little lighter. It's a little different than the other songs are in the tone, which I think, you got to listen to the whole thing if you really want to catch that. So I thought that was good. And oddly enough, being a Sheep's my favorite song out of those three. So not intentionally, just sort of happened, but keyboard work and that kind of stuff, I think was pretty on point in that one.
Yeah, I agree. So do you guys have, I know Mundy, you're not a huge fan, but do you guys have any context to like compare it between the two, or did you listen side by side?
Yeah, so I actually did. I listened to the first track on the original version and listened to the first track on the remix and kind of bounced back and forth like that. And what I came up with really was, I mean, it's kind of subtle, it's kind of not. And the difference in the covers of the albums, the 77 version and the 2018 remix, which came out this year because, whatever reasons. The difference in those covers is kind of like the perfect description for the differences in sound, really. I think there's progress on several different levels. You can apply that several different ways, whether it's good or bad, in your opinion. The newer one, both the album covers and the sound of these, the new one is clearer. It's a little crisper. It's more developed. Sounds a little more modern. And all of that, you look at the pictures and it's the same thing. So I mean, that's kind of where I landed on it. Like it's the same. You're looking at the same image through time, and it's just it's the same, but it's different in subtle and not so subtle ways.
Yeah. That's honestly, as big of a fan as I am, I didn't go that deep with that, and that makes total sense. I thought it was a cool, refreshing upgrade, but yeah, that's awesome. I never thought of that.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest differences for me, the vocals became more forefront. They were definitely out in front a little bit more. They were more pronounced. I think they just raised the levels on that a little bit. And then it's interesting because what I read in that review, it said that the guitar solos were thin, but I think on the remix, I don't know, they feel more full or deeper, and I don't know if it's because the bass below it has expanded a little bit or they've kind of upped the levels on that, but I think the guitar solos now feel a little bit more full than they did on the previous one. And the noises like the dogs barking in the background are definitely very prevalent. And so I put the speakers on with the noise cancellation, and all the stuff going on in the background is so clear and awesome. And the different, it's pretty primo. I like that a lot. If I didn't have the headphones on and I was in my car and you've got all the other noises going on, the differences weren't as profound. But with headphones on, it was clearly there.
Yeah. I heard a little bit of that. I think the drums sounded if I were to pick an instrument, the drums sounded a little bit more like they had boosted those a little bit. But what I would really be interested in hearing when you're talking about all this like kind of like placement and fidelity is, I know I'm still getting a crammed down version of it when I'm streaming it through Spotify. even though it's clear. I mean, we live in an
Mhm.
age of technology where it's not like I'm listening to an old tape I found in the garage. But I would love to have the opportunity to go somewhere that is, completely non-compressed, set up to hear. That's kind of like a dream thing for me.
Mhm.
I'd love to hear this album straight through in that way.
Yeah, that
But-
would be amazing, and it would be
Yeah.
awesome too to hear. And I didn't order it, but the vinyl version of it, and see how that sounds
Yes.
as well.
Yeah, it probably
Yeah.
the warmth and everything would come out. I'm sure.
hmm That's on my Christmas list. So I'll
Make
pass
a
it around if
note
you guys want to hear
to
it.
guys.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just weird that it's called a remix. That's not exactly how we, at least I would imagine Mundy, especially with some of the bands we listen to, remix,
Yeah,
doesn't
I
really
mean,
hold that.
the term remix, I mean, what they mean here is like they have literally changed the mix of the
Mhm.
levels of everything. Us being fans of industrial music, a remix typically means something very different. Like you take the song, strip it down, and completely recreate it into, so it's
Yeah.
almost unrecognizable. But of course, that's not what this is.
No.
Yeah.
It's almost remastered.
Yeah, I almost said that, but yeah, that's more of what I think of when I hear this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I guess they mix the levels, right? So they
Sure.
can say it's
Yeah.
remixed.
Yeah. And as having it be my favorite album of all time, and having listened to it, I can't tell you how many times, since the 80s. When the news broke that this was going to happen, I was nervous, because either one, when I saw a remix, I was like, is it going to be like Pigs featuring Lil Wayne? Or, and then even as I started reading articles and they were talking more about like bumping the levels in different places, you still don't know if it's going to change, your favorite album. It's the whole like, why do we need to remake Goonies, or is that just good enough?
Right.
So, but I was pleasantly surprised when I say I didn't hear a lot of it. That's probably a good thing for an Uber fan to not be taken out of, how you interpret the album when you hear it. So, but I just didn't know how many people or what you guys heard in it.
Yeah, what you touched on there, I mean, that's fans of any band. When a band has been around long enough that they go back and start remixing and remastering their entire catalog, that's always a fear. And one of the big things that comes to my mind is Megadeth. Because if you like those albums that I grew up with, when you go back and listen to the remasters, I feel like Dave Mustaine has said he did not re-record stuff, but if you listen to the difference, there's no way.
It had to
There's
happen.
no way he did not re-record some vocals and stuff like that. So yeah,
Right.
you never know what you're going to get.
Did you ever hear, on a very tangent here, but did you ever hear Symphony of Destruction remixed by Trent Reznor?
Oh yeah, I have the single that I think that is the
Okay.
B-side of that.
Do you want to explain Kasingle for the youngsters out there? It was
Well,
huge for us,
children.
but I don't think they get it.
We used to have these things called cassette tapes, and they would put one song on one side.
Yeah. You have to drive to the store, buy it, put it in your Walkman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then get a pencil out when it unraveled.
Yes.
Oh, God, I
Yeah.
haven't heard the word Kasingle in forever. Thank you, Mr.
Yep.
I
Bundy.
haven't either. Yeah.
Pretty sure I still have it.
So all in all, though, I mean, we can go on however you want to from here. But what did you think of it, Mundy? Since you're not a huge fan, but you're forced to listen to the whole thing.
I mean, it's not bad. Like I'm not a Pink Floyd fan because I think they're terrible. It's just one of those bands, like I said, that just kind of passed me by. I didn't, and then when I was ready to maybe dip my toe in, I'm like, oh, there's a lot here. Like there's a lot there, and like, I mean, just the presence of that band is huge. I mean, it's the words escaping me, but ubiquitous. That's what I'm trying to think of. I mean, Pink Floyd is Pink Floyd, so it's just kind of intimidating, and just felt like I had better ways to spend my time, I guess. But
that's fair enough.
I mean, the stuff they play on the radio, like I've not heard anything from them that I hate, but it just, I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. Next,
Yeah.
It's just one of, different bands connect for different people. And this has just never been my band. So, but,
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's really good. It was, Steve said it was 5 songs and I was like, oh, cool. And then like the second song is like 17 minutes long. And I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay,
Yes.
so listen.
Yeah, 5 songs is a nice way to put it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's good. And like, like you guys have said, like, I mean, the lyrics are just, it's, yeah. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, these guys, like a lot of the artists from that time period, I mean, they saw it, so.
Yep.
Except for the punk bands, they hated them, which is weird.
Yeah.
So, which is so weird that they would, because they're so almost anti-establishment. But punk people hate them. Johnny Rotten would wear a Pink Floyd shirt with some like mocking remark, and they were coming out at the same time that Pink Floyd was doing all this. It's such a weird thing.
Yeah, I don't feel like the sentiments are too terribly different there, really. I mean, maybe it's just because they were on a major label, or they actually got money to make albums or something like that. They're in the record industry machine. They're part of that machine or something. Can't imagine what else it would be.
Well, one is very raw and one is very eloquent.
Like I said, one's definitely more polished, but
yeah,
they're saying the same thing.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, Johnny Rotten is
rotten.
If he is your barometer for much of anything, you might want to reevaluate some things. He has proven over time that he's not a great person. So
that's a good point. Last thing I'll say about it, Steve, you kind of started this off asking why I thought it was the perfect album. And what's interesting is it's not that I feel like any of these songs are my favorite song of all time. It's just collectively, the art of how they put it together, how it all got made. Like, that's always been strange to me that I don't go to that album to pull out my favorite song of all time, but it's my favorite album of all time. I don't know if you guys have anything like that, but
no, I absolutely. And I'll say this. So what I love about Pink Floyd is that they put these ideas together in this amazing package. Like this one, The Wall, are just so cool. And when they perform them live, it's an experience, right? It's got a message. It's got this cool story. And that's also why I loved all that early Rush material that was all the concept records. I think that idea that you can be smart enough to put together all of these messages and things that work together and tell this complete story, but then go back and do it musically. So it's really interesting and cool. I love that. I mean, heck, we even did 21 Pilots on that one record that it was so cohesive and they put the hints and all that. I don't like 21 Pilots. I like that record because how clever, and they did something that I think was really interesting as musicians. The only thing that like separates, say, Rush from Pink Floyd for me is I like the music of Rush better. I like the bass grooves and well, I guess the rhythm section, because the drums too. It's not as heavy in guitar solos. I don't love guitar solos. Take Tool. I like Tool better than Pink Floyd as well, because I like the music better, even though they're kind of doing these long songs with these cool messages and amazing lyrics. That's the only thing that keeps me from absolutely loving Pink Floyd. But if I go back and listen to a record like Animals, I can sit there and love it and enjoy it because what it says, how it says it, it's so ambitious. And I get the message, and it's so good.
Makes total sense. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool.
All right. Anybody out there still listening want to chime in why they love or don't love Pink Floyd?
Rush, blah, blah, blah.
I know. I'm so sorry.
We all have that band.
We do. You know, I don't listen to them every day. Does that make you feel better? I really don't. I haven't listened to them in a while, actually. Okay, I lied. I listened to Resist once when I was doing the lyrics. But hey, that's it. I promise you. So, anyhow.
All right.
I listen to Public Enemy more than anything right now. Almost every day, I think. So, it's just fitting me. All right. Anything else, gentlemen? That is a complete show.
Yes.
I'm tapped out.
Yeah.
I'm with
Yeah.
you.
I'm gonna get a shameless plug in here real quick for the
Do it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mundy. I don't know if you're aware, but we're doing my company got a art scholarship through the city, so we're putting on a live dinner theater. But it's like different than how it's normally done. It's immersive. People are going to be challenged. So anyway, if anyone is listening and interested, it's at events.4411creative.com. It's called Wakey Wakey. It's a small 1-hour play done by a guy named Will Eno. So that's happening in October.
Very cool.
Yeah,
awesome. Thanks. That is really cool. And T-Bags, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Sure.
Are we going to see you next week?
I'm really hoping so. For me, as you guys know, it depends on how much stuff I have to edit because I have to work that in on the weekends. But right now, I've started to make it so that my schedule is being more free on Saturdays and Sundays to have some sort of peace of mind. So let's go with 85%, and that's all I can say.
How about
it's important. It's important for you to carve out you time, but then spend some of that time with us.
Yes.
So you carve out.
Well, this is stuff I love. I do love this stuff. So yeah. Talking about music, hanging out with friends. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. So I hope to see you guys both next weekend, and I will do my best.
If not, you need to be back in 2 weeks for Slipknot.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: next week, is there anything Neil Young related?
Yes, we're doing Florida. Oh, now he's never.
Yes.
No, at this point, we are doing Billy Idol, The Cage, new EP from Billy, which ought to be pretty fun.
Yeah,
and we're going to
EP,
be answering your challenge, Tony. See, I just tracked him into coming back. Did you see that? You have to give it. That's what we have to be coming back.
The Billy Idol, it's an EP, so it shouldn't be very long. And I've seen the first video. I don't know if he's put out any more, but the first song that I heard was pretty good. So
and a person that Meg Myers, who I listen to, she's she just opened up for Billy Idol. So
very cool.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right, and we're also going to be talking about Sandman issue number 17 with Calliope. We kind of did away with that this week. We're definitely going to come back to that next week. And gentlemen, where in the world can we find you if we want to find you on social media? Metalhead.
Right there, Metalhead Mundy on Instagram. Come say hi.
Yeah. And then T-Bags.
Yeah.
Where might we find you?
Once in a while, I'm on the Wanderings and Wool Gathering Facebook page, so I'll check that if anybody wants to check in.
All right, and look, scrolling at the bottom, Tony.
Yes.
Go there, people. 4411creative.com. He lives there. That is his place.
Yes.
Indeed. And you can find me, Foggy's Pal, over there on Twitter or Instagram. I'm there quite a bit, so give me a little shout out. Check in with me. Let's chat. People yell at me a lot on there. I don't know. They don't like my comments, apparently. It's what it is. Some guy asked me this weekend, what game are you watching? Sorry if I have a differing opinion. That's your thing.
Yeah.
And you can find Wanderings and Wool Gathering on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Stitcher, Castbox, and SoundCloud. See you next week for episode 126. The guarantee is more T-Bags. Bye now.